Rice, fluffy, steaming, and comforting. For billions of people around the world, it's not just food, it's culture, tradition, and daily life. From sushi in Japan to biryani in India, from fried rice in Thailand to simple bowls of jasmine rice in Cambodia, this humble grain is everywhere. But with its popularity comes a nagging question that many people worry about. If I eat rice every day, will I get fat? It's a fair concern. In today's world, diet trends often warn against carbohydrates, painting rice as an enemy of slim waists and healthy bodies. Low-carb and keto diets have become fashionable, convincing many that rice is a danger food waiting to sneak onto your plate and expand your waistline. The fear isn't completely unfounded. After all, rice is primarily made of carbohydrates, and carbs break down into glucose, a form of sugar that fuels your body. If eaten in excess, glucose can be stored as fat. But does this mean that the simple act of eating rice daily automatically leads to weight gain? The answer, as you'll discover, is more nuanced and much more hopeful. Let's start with the science in simple terms. Your body needs three main nutrients to function: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates, like those found in rice, are your body's preferred energy source. When you eat rice, enzymes in your digestive system break it down into glucose, which then enters your bloodstream. Your cells use this glucose for energy, helping you walk, think, breathe, and even sleep. Without carbs, your body would struggle to function properly. That's why labeling rice as bad is an oversimplification. The real issue is not the rice itself, but how much and what type of rice you eat, combined with your lifestyle. Consider this: billions of people in Asia eat rice multiple times a day, often as their main staple food. Yet for much of history, these populations have not had high rates of obesity. In fact, until recent decades, many Asian societies were leaner and healthier compared to Western countries, even though their diets centered heavily around rice. This tells us something important. Eating rice every day is not the sole cause of weight gain. Other factors, like portion size, physical activity, and the overall balance of one's diet, play a much bigger role. Here's a relatable example. Imagine two people, Sarah and Mai. Sarah lives in a city where she eats a Western diet high in refined foods, burgers, fries, and sugary drinks. She adds a big bowl of white rice to her dinner every day, but she doesn't exercise much. Mai, on the other hand, lives in a rural Asian village. She eats rice 3 times a day, but her meals are balanced with vegetables, fish, and tofu. She also walks several miles daily as part of her routine. Both eat rice daily, but Sarah is more likely to gain weight while Mai stays healthy. Why? Because rice alone is not the villain. Context matters. There's also a big difference between types of rice. White rice, the polished variety most people eat, has had its bran and germ removed. This process gives it a soft texture and long shelf life, but also strips away fiber and nutrients. As a result, white rice digests quickly and causes a sharp rise in blood sugar levels. In contrast, brown rice, red rice, and black rice are whole grains, packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. These varieties digest more slowly, keeping you fuller for longer and preventing sudden spikes in blood sugar. If you eat brown rice daily, it can actually support weight management rather than cause weight gain. It's also important to highlight portion control. A moderate serving of rice, say, half a cup cooked, is not likely to cause weight gain, especially if it's paired with vegetables and protein. The problem arises when rice is eaten in large amounts without balance. For example, a huge plate of fried rice dripping in oil and paired with sugary soda is very different from a small bowl of steamed rice served alongside grilled chicken and vegetables. The first scenario contributes to excess calories. The second creates a balanced meal. So why does this topic matter so much today? Because myths about food can cause unnecessary fear and confusion. Many seniors, parents, and health-conscious individuals worry about staples like rice, wondering if they should cut them out entirely. But eliminating rice often leads to frustration, especially in cultures where it's a comfort food passed down for generations. The truth is, rice doesn't have to be the enemy. It can fit beautifully into a healthy lifestyle when eaten mindfully. And that's where our journey begins. The first key idea in answering whether eating rice every day makes you fat comes down to a simple but powerful principle: portion control and balance. Rice in itself isn't the villain. It's the amount and the way it's paired with other foods that determine whether it supports your health or works against it. Think of rice like money. Having money isn't bad. In fact, you need it to live. But if you spend recklessly without budgeting, you end up in trouble. Similarly, rice provides your body with energy, but if you eat it in huge amounts without balancing it with other nutrients, the extra energy gets stored as fat. The key is not to cut rice out of your life, but to budget it wisely. So, how much rice is reasonable? Nutrition experts often recommend sticking to about half a cup to 1 cup of cooked rice per meal, depending on your activity level. This might sound small compared to the giant bowls many of us are used to, but here's the trick. Rice should be one part of the plate, not the whole plate. Imagine a dinner plate divided into sections. Half should be vegetables, 1/4 protein like fish, chicken, beans, or tofu, and the last quarter rice. When you eat this way, rice becomes a supportive partner rather than the star of the show. The benefits of this approach are clear. First, smaller portions of rice keep your calorie intake in check without leaving you hungry, because the vegetables and protein add volume and satiety. Second, balancing rice with high-fiber foods slows down digestion, preventing blood sugar spikes that lead to cravings. Third, by savoring rice as part of a meal instead of the entire meal, you can still enjoy its taste and cultural comfort without guilt. Here's a relatable story. Think about a family gathering where rice is served in abundance. Everyone piles their plates high, often going back for seconds. At first, it feels satisfying. After all, rice is warm and comforting. But an hour later, people start feeling heavy, sluggish, and sometimes even sleepy. Contrast that with a meal where rice is served in small amounts, alongside stir-fried vegetables and lean grilled fish. Afterward, instead of feeling weighed down, people feel nourished and energized. Both meals included rice, but the outcomes were completely different because of portion control and balance. Another important point is the method of preparation. Steamed or boiled rice is much healthier than fried rice soaked in oil or rice smothered in creamy sauces. A cup of plain rice might have around 200 calories, but add excessive butter or frying oil, and suddenly that same portion doubles in calories. It's not the rice itself, but the preparation method that transforms it into either a friend or foe of your waistline. You can also make small swaps that add up. For example, try mixing half white rice with half brown rice. This not only boosts the fiber content but also makes you feel full sooner, reducing the temptation to overeat. Another trick is to cool leftover rice and reheat it, which increases the resistant starch content. Resistant starch acts more like fiber, meaning it helps control blood sugar and keeps you satisfied for longer. These little changes let you keep rice in your daily meals while making it work in your favor. For seniors or anyone worried about weight, portion control is empowering because it doesn't require giving up beloved foods. Too often, people believe that staying healthy means cutting out what they love, which leads to frustration and relapse into unhealthy habits. But when you learn that you can still enjoy rice, just in smaller, smarter amounts, you gain confidence and peace of mind. Food becomes enjoyable again rather than stressful. So the takeaway here is clear. Rice is not automatically a weight gain trigger. It's about how much you eat, what type you choose, and what you pair it with. A moderate serving of rice, combined with vegetables, protein, and healthy fats, can be part of a diet that supports both energy and weight control. The second key idea in understanding rice and weight gain is timing and lifestyle. It's not just what you eat, but also when you eat it and how your body uses the energy that makes the difference. Rice provides carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are fuel. If you use that fuel wisely, rice becomes your ally. If you take in more than you burn, it can become stored fat. Think of your body like a car. If you fill the gas tank and then drive all day, you use up the fuel. But if you keep filling the tank without driving, the gas just overflows. Rice works the same way. If you eat it before activities, your body burns it efficiently for energy. If you eat a large portion late at night, just before bed, much of that energy may end up stored instead. This is why meal timing is so important. Many nutritionists recommend eating rice earlier in the day, such as at breakfast or lunch, when your body is more active. For example, a bowl of rice with vegetables and eggs in the morning can give you steady energy for hours, keeping you sharp at work or school. Similarly, rice at lunch powers you through the afternoon without relying on sugary snacks. But at dinner, especially a late dinner, your body's energy demand is lower. Eating a big rice-heavy meal just before sleep can make it harder for your body to burn off those calories. Another factor is activity level. Let's take two people, Arun and David. Arun works on a farm. His day starts early, and he spends hours planting, harvesting, and walking across fields. Rice is his daily staple, and he often eats it 3 times a day. Yet Arun is lean and fit because his body is constantly burning the energy he gets from rice. David, on the other hand, works in an office. He sits for most of the day, eats rice at lunch and dinner, and doesn't exercise much. Even though David might not eat more rice than Arun, he's more likely to gain weight because his lifestyle doesn't burn off the fuel. The lesson here is that rice isn't inherently fattening. It depends on whether you use the energy it provides. This principle is why exercise plays such a crucial role. Something as simple as a brisk walk after a rice-heavy meal can improve digestion, regulate blood sugar, and help your body burn off the calories instead of storing them. Studies show that even 10 to 15 minutes of light activity after eating can make a significant difference. Imagine finishing dinner, then going for a family stroll. Not only is it good for bonding, but it also prevents that sluggish, heavy-feeling people often get after large rice meals. Lifestyle choices also explain why rice-eating cultures historically stayed slim. In many Asian countries, daily life used to involve walking long distances, farming, or other forms of physical labor. Even though rice was consumed at nearly every meal, people stayed active enough to use the energy effectively. In modern times, however, lifestyles have changed. Many of us live more sedentary lives, spending hours in front of computers or televisions. The combination of large rice portions, poor timing, and little activity is what leads to weight gain, not rice itself. Here's a practical example. Suppose you love eating rice at dinner but also worry about weight. Instead of cutting it out entirely, you could take a balanced approach, eat a smaller portion of rice at dinner, add more vegetables, and then go for a short walk afterward. Effectively. Or, if you enjoy rice at lunch, pair it with a light workout in the evening, perhaps some yoga, cycling, or even household chores. These small adjustments ensure rice works for you, not against you. The hopeful takeaway here is that rice doesn't have to be feared. By aligning rice with your body's natural rhythm, eating it when you're active and using the energy it provides, you can enjoy it every day without worrying about fat gain. It becomes a fuel for living, not a burden. And there's one more piece of the puzzle. We've talked about portion control and timing, but the third key idea is about quality and mindset. Not all rice is created equal, and not all attitudes toward food are healthy. Choosing the right type of rice and cultivating a positive, balanced relationship with food can allow you to embrace rice as part of a joyful, healthy lifestyle. The third key idea in answering the rice question is about quality and mindset. It's not just about how much rice you eat or when you eat it, but also what kind of rice you choose and how you view food in your life. These two factors can make the difference between rice being a source of nourishment and joy, or a source of worry and guilt. Not all rice is created equal. White rice, the most common type, has been polished to remove its bran and germ. This makes it soft and quick to cook, but also strips away fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Because it digests quickly, it can spike blood sugar, which in turn can trigger hunger sooner and lead to overeating. On the other hand, whole grain varieties, like brown rice, black rice, and red rice, retain their nutrient-rich outer layers. They're higher in fiber, which slows digestion, keeps you full longer, and supports steady blood sugar levels. So, one simple upgrade is to swap part of your white rice for whole grain versions. If you're not used to the taste or texture, start with a mix, half white, half brown. Over time, your taste buds adjust, and you benefit from the added nutrition without feeling like you're giving up something familiar. These small changes add up, turning rice into a healthier daily staple instead of a potential weight gain trap. Another factor is how rice is served. In many traditional cultures, rice is not eaten alone. It's paired with vegetables, lean proteins, and even fermented foods. This combination balances the meal, adds fiber and nutrients, and prevents the empty carb effect. Compare a plain bowl of white rice with soy sauce to a balanced plate of rice, sautéed greens, and grilled salmon. Both meals contain rice, but the second nourishes your body and keeps your appetite satisfied, while the first leaves you hungry and reaching for snacks later. But beyond the physical quality of rice, there's an equally important piece: mindset. Too often, people think of food in extremes, either good or bad. This black and white thinking creates fear, guilt, and stress. If you label rice as bad and force yourself to avoid it, you might end up craving it even more, leading to overeating when you finally give in. Food guilt can be just as harmful to health as overeating itself, because it erodes your confidence and joy around eating. Instead, the healthiest approach is balance and mindfulness. Rice is not the enemy, it's part of a bigger picture. You don't gain weight from eating one bowl of rice, just as you don't become slim from skipping one meal. What matters is the long-term pattern: consistent portions, balanced meals, activity, and variety. When you allow yourself to enjoy rice without guilt, you're more likely to make calm, rational food choices rather than swinging between strict dieting and binging. Here's a real-world story. Maria, a 62-year-old grandmother, grew up eating rice every day. When she was diagnosed with borderline diabetes, her doctor told her to cut back on carbs. At first, she panicked, thinking she'd have to abandon rice completely. This left her meals feeling empty and joyless, and soon she found herself sneaking large portions of rice at night. When she met with a nutrition counselor, she learned she didn't have to give it up entirely. Instead, she reduced her portion, switched to brown rice, and added more vegetables. Within months, her blood sugar stabilized, and she no longer felt guilty about food. She rediscovered the comfort of rice, but this time, in a healthier, balanced way. Stories like Maria's show that rice can stay in your life at any age, even if you're managing health conditions. The key is not avoidance but adaptation. Seniors especially can benefit from rice because it's easy to digest, provides quick energy, and pairs well with nutrient-dense foods. By choosing whole grains, practicing portion control, and enjoying meals with loved ones, rice becomes part of a sustainable, joyful lifestyle. So, myth or fact? Does eating rice every day make you fat? The truth is, it's a myth. Rice by itself does not cause weight gain. It's the portion size, the timing, the lifestyle, the type of rice, and the overall balance of your diet that determine whether rice supports your health or challenges it. When eaten mindfully and paired with activity, rice is not an obstacle to health, it's a fuel for living well. And here's the inspiring conclusion: rice is more than just food. It's a symbol of connection, linking families, cultures, and generations. It's a reminder that health isn't about fear or restriction, but about balance, joy, and wisdom. Seniors especially should feel hopeful. You don't have to give up the foods you love to stay healthy. You just need to embrace them with mindfulness and moderation. So the next time you sit down to a bowl of rice, don't worry about myths or guilt. Instead, see it as a gift, nourishment for your body, comfort for your heart, and fuel for your life. Because health isn't about cutting out what sustains you. It's about learning how to enjoy it in a way that keeps you strong, vibrant, and full of life.